Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about the transit south node sextile or trine one's natal Venus. Now, this transit may manifest in what you're going away from, the past, what you're naturally proficient in, and what may be affecting you to your detriment. Being in harmony with your love, your enjoyment, your relationships. Now, I'm going to elaborate and expound on that. This is not about your relationships being in harmony with really what affects you to your detriment. But the thing is, relationships may figure more prominently now and may be more auspicious to what you're trying to get away from and what may be affecting you to your detriment may be more beneficial in doing this. If you have your, say, if the transit south node is in Pisces in the 11th house, it could be deceptive or duplicitous friends, or ones that are have some addiction. Maybe you try to help them, but they're not helping themselves. And your relationships may be more beneficial, and you basically getting away from them. If you have the transit south node in Capricorn in the 4th house, it could be some kind of limiting or depressing home-related situation. Um, it might be, well, when this transit does take place, the things that you might feel, you're naturally proficient in at this time may be more enjoyable for you. The transit south node, is an Aries in the 8th house, as an example. It might be being, that armchair, arson investigator, or it could be somebody. When you have this, transit as well, it's a time to when whatever you're trying to go away from, it's more, it's more about your relationships, in which can include significant friendships, can be more beneficial to you in doing so, and also people that are prominent in your past. This is a time for having more of a peaceful connection with them, whether it could be people that were prominent in your early education, it could have been in your early childhood, maybe somebody that was a former boss or authority figure to you, could have been some kind of mentor, as some examples. And also too, this is a time, when you have this transit, this is about, Venus is connected with our values. And the thing about it is, it's more about valuing your friends. Sorry, people prominent in your past at this time, and valuing what you need to get away from, which would be beneficial to you if you've been in some negative or adverse situation and you've been procrastinating or hesitating on it. This is the time where you might put more value in stock and actually extricating yourself from that negative situation at this time, and also going away from negative things that may have a bad negative impact on your self-worth, your self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself at the time of this transit. And it's also, I mean, this is a time as well, considering that Venus is about money. It can be a situation where you might be utilizing some abilities you believe you have at this time, and they might be incorporated in being able to generate an income at this time. Transit south node is in Gemini, say. It can be doing something with manual dexterity or communication skills, being able to articulate things. As some examples, multitasking, showing more versatility, being able to adapt to job variety, as some examples. And now, anatomically speaking, okay, Venus is associated with the throat, neck, thyroid, kidneys, lower back, So if this is something, I mean, this could be a time, again, if you've been procrastinating or hesitating on any of those issues, if you have any of those issues that I just described that are anatomically connected with Venus and you're trying to get away, you're trying to, it's a good opportunity to get away from, move beyond that at this time. And it could simply be, taking care of those matters and doing something about them. Keep in mind that when you have the transit south node making a sextile or trine to your natal Venus, in turn you have the transit north node making a sextile or trine to the natal Venus. So it's a good opportunity as well to address, confront any of those issues that I just described that are anatomically connected with Venus, if you do have any of those problems that are, again, that correspond with Venus, so physically. So, and it can also be a time as well. First I want to get into, we talk about one other thing, is that, for those of you that may not know, as far as, some of you may wonder what the difference is between this transit and the conjunction transit. Well, the conjunction transit and the sextile and trine, they're comparable, but they're not exactly or precisely the same. The conjunction aspect transit is more intensifying and integrating. It's amalgamating, but at the same time, it can be, something where, conjunctions are neutral aspects. They can have good and bad qualities. And it can be, very, sometimes when you have a conjunction, it can be very sometimes obsessive or fixated energy, to the point where, you could be so focused on one thing where you might be oblivious, to other things going on, exclusion to other things in your life. Like, say, if you have the transit south node, making a conjunction to your natal Venus, it could be that you're trying so hard, you're focusing so much on getting away from a negative relationship, say, that you may be oblivious to a lot of other things going on in your life. Or if you're doing something, trying to make money that you feel, you're naturally proficient in, whatever it is, whatever way you may be trying to make money that you feel you have some natural ability for, then you could maybe be oblivious to other things going on in your life, where the sextile and trine is more of a flowing aspect. It's more auspicious in general, and it's a good, more of a balance with the energies, where you're not going to be so dominated by by whatever the energy is with the sextile and trine, that where it's to the exclusion of other things. And what I want to get at too, this transit, is that, keep in mind, Venus is also about the food that we enjoy as well. So, I mean, if there's any issues, that are resulting from the food you enjoy, whether it's obesity or something is, happening, other health-related issues that may be happening as a result of it, it's a time where, it might maybe more positive and easier to get away from those habits at this time. It might be, could be something where, you have a high, if there's a high sugar level, as an example, from indulging, too much in the food you enjoy. This could be a time where you have more of an opportunity to get away from that. Now, another thing too is that Venus is connected with legalities and lawsuits. So if there are, issues, that you're, dealing with it, you have to deal with on a legal matter. It could be that people that are prominent in your past may be more advantageous to those matters at this time. It can be a positive time to get away from what you need, from those issues, to leave it in the past. If there's something, another thing too is that Venus is also associated with art. If you're doing something, on an artistic level, it might be, you might be getting assistance from somebody that was prominent in your past. If there's something, that is, let's say if there's something affecting you to your detriment in your life, it could be where maybe just doing something artistic may be able to help, give a positive distraction for it. If you have natal Venus in Pisces, it could be some kind of abstract art, some kind of fictional or fantasy art. It's also a time, if you're trying to find, some peace and tranquility in your life, it can be a good time to do that, to get away from things that might be affecting you adversely at this time, whether it's some place, could be just some desolate, place, outside somewhere, or it can just be the four corners in your room, finding isolation and solitude to get away from, something that might be affecting you negatively, and take your mind off, those matters at this time. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back, but anyway. Now, Venus is also associated with negotiations, so it can also be a time, if something needs to be negotiated, if it's, again, someone prominent from your past, this could be a time where it can be auspicious for doing so. If it's something where, you know, um, you might be some natural qualities you might be able to express at this time, and ability for negotiating. It can be, a time as well, where you might be incorporating, some natural abilities, are connected with the South Node transit, into being able to negotiate at this time. The transit South Node is in Gemini. It can be, a way with words, being, articulate, using, your verbiage to negotiate. Um, Now, another way this transit could manifest, though, is can be very positive for going away from, which is the South Node. It could be a relationship, which is Venus, that could be affecting you to your detriment. Now, let's say if the natal Venus is in Aquarius, as an example, it could be a relationship that's very erratic and sporadic. It could be with somebody that's very rebellious or non-conforming, in some cases, in very erratic behavior. Um, and also, too, this could be a time where it's auspicious to do something where you feel you're naturally proficient in, at least at this time, which is the South Node, and being able to make money in the process. And money, of course, is connected with Venus. If let's say the transit South Node is in Aries, you could be doing something with speech pathology, welding, firefighting, arson investigation, combat sports as some examples. And also, too, people that are prominent in your past, which is the South Node, can be more in harmony and agreement with what you value at this time, which is Venus. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal Venus is in Taurus, it could be, things you may value could be trustworthiness, loyalty, persistence, patience, perseverance, calmness, staying composed. Um, and it's also a time where it may be more propitious to leave behind, which is the South Node, something, and focus on what you enjoy, which is Venus. Let's say, for example, if the natal Venus is in Pisces, those things you may enjoy can include the metaphysical, which includes astrology, dancing, poetry, photography, chemistry, as some examples. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.